I've been wanting to do this one for a while. Superheroes, X-Men legendary tales, wish fulfillment in the form of imaginary extra-human abilities. Well, it makes for great storytelling. But many of the extraordinary abilities displayed by comic book and fantasy characters bear striking resemblance to divine manifestations, prophets, miracles, angelic powers found in Scripture. Tell me, has Stan Lee not been plagiarizing from the Old Testament for decades? And isn't it fun to consider that maybe such things aren't merely fiction after all, but based in the traditions of biblical history? Examples of God manifesting his power and purpose through chosen representatives. Today, let's take a walk through the pages of religious history and studio IP and discover your favorite superhero origins in Abrahamic theology. Superpowers of Scripture, from Moses to Marvel to Moroni. I'm Pastor Theology, and you thought X-Men had the monopoly on superpowers? Nah. Prophets were dropping Marvel-level powers centuries before Stan Lee ever said Excelsior. Who doesn't want Jedi powers? If nothing else, just to be able to turn the light off at the end of the day without getting up. Or float one of those bags of chips from the pantry late at night. Characters like original X-Men Jean Grey, Yoda, the Avatar, all classic characters with some form of telekinesis. But who did it first, and who did it best? Take the Bible. Moses lifts his staff, the Red Sea splits. Exodus 14. Moses was like, "Step aside, Magneto. Who needs to bend metal when you can bend oceans?" Later, Joshua tells the sun itself to stop moving. Joshua 10. Now that's the ultimate pause button if I ever saw one. And while Jean Grey and Jedi float objects, the original wizard, Elisha, levitated an axe out of a river. Meanwhile, Nephi accidentally invents force lightning. Nephi stretches forth his hand and shocks his rebellious brothers with divine current. 1 Nephi 17. Sort of like that vampire from Twilight.
Maybe it only works on the weak.
The ultimate form of telekinesis is, of course, one who can manipulate matter on a molecular level. And that makes Jesus the triple S tier level telekinetic master, with the ability to restore flesh from any condition. Deaf, blind, lame, and infirm? Easy. Need more bread and fish? Not a problem. And that classic transformation of water to wine. Walking on water, even death, isn't an obstacle when you've maxed out the power scale on this classic mutant ability. But I guess when you can organize cosmic dust into planets, solar systems, and galaxies, these instances are nothing more than flicking crumbs off your lap while you're binging your favorite show on Netflix. Pyro, the Human Torch, Firebenders, some of the most fun and interesting characters in fantasy. Did you ever want to control fire? That's weird. Get help. The Bible has its own rather interesting account of an actual firebender. In 1 Kings 18, Elijah meets the priests of Baal, and after a little competitive streak, calls down literal fire from heaven on Mount Carmel. Later, when soldiers try to arrest him, he barbecues them with the same heavenly flame. 2 Kings 1. In Mosiah 13, the Book of Mormon, the prophet Abinadi's face shines like fire, so bright the wicked priests of the king couldn't touch him. Fiery aura unlocked. From these accounts we understand Elijah didn't just summon fire, he ran the first outdoor fireworks show. Gandalf, Pyro, just cheap knockoffs, and Abinadi basically cosplayed as Ghost Rider. And did you know this? In LDS history at the Kirkland Temple dedication 1836, people outside swore they saw flames on the roof. No insurance claim needed though. The structure was fine. Even though this was well before electric lighting, the first LDS temple looked as though it was decorated with 1,000-lumen Christmas bulbs. The locals couldn't understand what they were seeing. The whole town was a witness, and this wasn't the only time that such a thing would happen at an LDS temple. Next time you pass one, look closely. You might just be witness to a miracle. Number 3, earthbending. And earthbending would be especially useful. Modify land to meet your needs. Shelter, farming, all done in a flash. For Moses, smashing a rock to produce gushing water was easy in Exodus 17. In other instances in Scripture, we see God open the ground to swallow Korah's rebellion, Number 16. In the Book of Mormon, walls tremble at Samuel the Lamanite's prophecy, Helaman 14, and at Christ's death, whole cities sink into the sea, in 3 Nephi 8. In LDS history, early saints literally made the desert of Utah and the Great Basin blossom as the rose, Isaiah 35:1, and applied by pioneers in Utah. Brigham Young, who gained the moniker American Moses, once said, "God told me to irrigate this dust bowl, and now we've got peaches." This was no joke. Before the Latter-day Saints arrived in the Utah Valley, most mountain men and expeditions from the government deemed the Great Basin impassable and unlivable for any significant population. Today, it's home to tens of millions of people thanks to the efforts of Latter-day Saints and their miraculous command of the earth.
The Mormon contribution to American life is beyond measuring.
So remember, if Moses played Minecraft, he'd be the guy with infinite resource mode. And when Utah pioneers irrigated desert soil, that was basically the DLC expansion pack, Zioncraft. Hey Minecraft, you want to get in on this? Number 4, super strength. Hulk, Thor, the Juggernaut, classic super strength. Some would say this idea originated with Samson, whose feats of strength include killing a lion with his bare hands, catching 300 foxes to burn Philistine fields, slaughtering 1,000 men with a donkey's jawbone, and carrying away the city gates of Gaza, and finally collapsing the pillars of the Philistine temple, killing 3,000 people. His supernatural strength, granted by God, allowed him to perform these incredible acts to deliver Israel from the Philistines in Judges chapter 14. The Book of Mormon also has some incredible acts of strength and endurance. Nephi was bound by strong cords by his rebellious brothers. Yet he was able to burst them apart and go free. And who wasn't blown away by the duel between Shiz and Coriantumr in Ether 14:15? Two rulers of a nation battle with their armies for years, and in the last pride-fueled effort, reenact WWE in a 9-day rumble to the death. When was the last time you fought from sun up till sundown for nearly a fortnight? I mean, outside of the actual game Fortnite. LDS history. Heber C. Kimball reportedly lifted wagons, single-handed, on Pioneer Trek days. You might call it Pioneer CrossFit. And after all is said and done, Samson didn't need protein shakes, just a hair extension plan and some plugs. And the Jaredites? Basically the UFC, but with more smiting. Not quite gods of thunder, but maybe a substantial upgrade from the trite and true story sequences delivered by Fox and Friends in the 90s. Number 5, invisibility, vanishing acts. The Invisible Woman, Miles Morales, and Disney Pixar's Violet Parr are some of our most favoritable invisible heroes. But did you know the Bible has its own disappearing arbiter of justice? Yes, Elisha's servant suddenly sees heavenly armies. Others can't, 2 Kings 6. And respect, invisible armies are pretty cool. Think Aragorn in the Lord of the Rings. In the Book of Mormon, Nephi is led through hostile crowds by the Spirit, and nobody lays a hand on him. 1 Nephi 4. Alma and Amulek walk free amidst collapsing prison rubble. Alma 14. And Jesus slips through angry mobs in Luke 4:29 and 30. Of course, we might consider that moment Jesus passed through the crowd, Jedi mind tricked.
You want to pay us our credits and send us on our way.
Here are your credits. Now go on your way.
You don't want to kill me at this very moment. And Nephi, basically OG Batman.
Do you really think that...
Oh, wow, they really just vanish. Huh? Oh, that's rude.
Number 7, healing and regeneration. Regenerative healing powers are one of the hallmarks of superpower history. Wolverine, Spider-Man, Deadpool, Captain America, the cheerleader from Heroes, all timeless. And by that I mean ageless examples. But as usual, Jesus is the original and OP version of them all. Jesus heals the blind, deaf, lame, lepers, Matthew 9. He even gave this power to others. The apostles healed all manner of conditions too. In the Book of Mormon, Jesus also visits the Nephite land and also heals the Nephite multitudes one by one in 3 Nephi 17. Ammon miraculously revives King Lamoni in Alma 18. And in LDS history, there are literally countless priesthood healing stories. Brigham Young curing mountain fever, Joseph Smith from mosquito-borne illnesses in Illinois, Wilford Woodruff blessing children, modern missionaries claiming miraculous recoveries. Now understand that Jesus didn't just heal. He ran the universe's first free healthcare plan. And did you ever think about how Wolverine has to stab himself every time he uses those claws? Sure, he regenerates immediately, but still.
When they come out, does it hurt? Every time.
Number 9. What about weather control? Among the most iconic and powerful characters in fiction are Storm, who can control all aspects of weather. And in a similar manner, Elijah can call for drought and rain on command. In the Book of Mormon, Samuel the Lamanite predicts and warns of cosmic weather disasters that later do impact the entire civilization. Similarly, in LDS history, Brigham Young is known to have prayed for rain in Utah. Accounts say storms rolled in to water crops. This also happened for President of the Church Lorenzo Snow in the early 20th century, and also for Joseph Smith during the famous Zion's Camp incident that saved the saints from a violent mob. The account details how a black storm cloud suddenly appeared out of nothing and peeled across the sky like a zipper, turning an otherwise cloudless day into a sudden downpour.
Lord will protect us, brethren. Stand still and see the salvation of God.
Now, in a way, Elijah, Young, and Smith basically ran the first climate control remote. Next, we have super speed and time control. Comic book characters like Quicksilver and the Flash aren't the original Speed Force users. The Bible had them beat by 3,000 years. Elijah outruns Ahab's chariot in 1 Kings 18. And when Joshua makes the sun stand still, well, that's time manipulation, isn't it? Indeed, Elijah was the Flash, but in sandals. And Joshua, ultimate Time Lord. Move over, Doctor Who. Doctor Who, more like Doctor Who Cares. Am I right? No, seriously, it's dead to me after the 12th Doctor. Talking to animals. Remember the story of Balaam's donkey? Who doesn't want to speak to animals? Just look at this little goofball over here. Just what is going on in that little head? However, Shrek's donkey would seem to owe royalties to Balaam. Change my mind. In the Bible, the story of Balaam's donkey giving the wayward prophet a lecture in Numbers 22. Not only that, but Noah had some pretty powerful influence over the animals, in fact. So yeah, between the Bible, the Book of Mormon, and Latter-day Saint history, you've basically got the MCU plus DC plus bonus DLC. Next time somebody says religion is boring, remind them. Prophets were bending elements, teleporting across continents, and calling fire from heaven long before Hollywood put it on IMAX. Drop in the comments, which scriptural powers do you want most? And no, you can't all pick teleportation. I called it. Are these superpowers or spiritual gifts? Many of the extraordinary abilities described in Abrahamic religion bear striking similarities to modern superpowers found in fiction. Whether seen as divine gifts, manifestations, or spiritual mastery, or deep meditative achievements, these supernatural feats have fascinated believers for literally millennia. So much so that the MCU has capitalized on nearly 80 hours of movies and lifetimes of painstakingly hand-drawn character development. Please go ahead and leave a like, and don't forget to check out my book, The Saints Who Built America, and I will see you all next time.